I think you've got to have initiative to just make things happen, because no one's going to ask you to begin with, okay, will you come DJ here? You've kind of just got to try and prove your worth where you can.
Ever wonder how top DJs actually built their careers?
I had to do 15 years of hard work to get any of the recognition that I wanted.
Where I saw a turning point in my career is when I became true to myself.
From marketing and mindset to networking and negotiation, I'm giving you the tools you need to build a lasting career in dance music.
Give them bits of you and your everyday life.
You have to change the way you view the word no. Like me, I'm encouraged by it.
Join me, Olivia Mancuso, and industry leaders as we reveal what it really takes to turn your passion into profit. This is Elevated Frequencies. Welcome to your weekly elevation, your dose of real strategies for real results in dance music. I'm Olivia, and today's conversation is with somebody who embodies the entrepreneurial spirit that is reshaping the music industry. Josh Baker isn't just a successful DJ and producer. He's built an entire ecosystem around his artistry, from co-founding the legendary You and Me parties in Manchester and now all over the world, to creating Hide and Seek Festival, to launching Syntho, his artist education platform. Josh has consistently identified gaps in the industry and filled them himself. What makes this conversation so valuable is Josh's perspective on building multiple revenue streams while maintaining artistic integrity. His journey from throwing 20-pound field parties to managing a team of 8 people offers a masterclass in scaling creative ventures. So whether you're just starting out or looking to diversify your income, his insights on leverage, team building, and strategic risk-taking provide a blueprint for sustainable success. Let's dive in. You have built so many successful brands before the age of 30. I think I have that right.
Just hanging on.
Are you 29 or 30?
29, yeah.
Wow. So how do you introduce yourself?
That is a good question. Now, more than ever, I think I would say more DJ producer. Over the last few years, I definitely spent way more time on other businesses such as Syntho, Hide and Seek, and You and Me. Now I feel like I'm more actually kind of gone full circle and back to doing what I set out to do. However, which I'm sure we'll talk about today, there's been like sections in this journey where I began to veer off from this thing of being a typical DJ producer. And I would say I satisfied an itch in terms of entrepreneurial kind of curiosities. So built some different things. At times even considered like going all in on them and even thinking like, do I actually want to tour as an artist, things like that. But now I would say if someone said, Nabal, what do you do? I would say I'm a DJ and producer.
And that's how I first knew of you. And then with my research, I realized, okay, wow, you're a partner in all of these things. When did you realize that you had the entrepreneurial bug?
I know it sounds really cliche. Well, in England anyway, everyone that kind of tells these stories, it's like they sold some sweets at school, things like that. Was kind of interested in hearing stories of people who have built things that are pretty big, and just always wanted to do more than just music. I think my brain is a bit more like logical in terms of, I think some artists are kind of quite like trippy and, you know, loose, and they can find these ideas from spaces no one else can. I think I work quite logically even when I make music. And I think business kind of works that way as well. So I just feel like I need to do that in my life to feel, kind of complete.
So were you selling candy?
Yeah. You know, like usual stuff on the playground, and then like always thinking about, you know, how could you make a bit of money selling things here and there, and just naturally kind of always having an eye on things like that.
Did you ever watch Shark Tank?
Yeah, you know, Dragon's Den is
Dragon's
the UK
Den.
version. Yeah,
Right,
things
right,
like
right.
that. You know, like I enjoyed watching that. And my mum works in like corporate world into business, so took inspiration from her. So been kind of surrounded by that stuff from a young age.
Yeah. I think we're starting to see it more now, especially with emerging artists who are interested in throwing their own events, their own pop-ups, starting small things like coffee shops. I know you've even done like a laundromat style pop-up before. But I think more artists are starting to catch on that, especially in America, if you can't get booked, I mean, why not book yourself?
Yeah, that was literally why we started You and Me. So the story was I went to Ibiza at the age of, I think I was 19, and I was DJing every single day at this villa. And it was the kind of logical thing that when I went back, I needed a platform to play. And back then it was competitive. It felt competitive, but even now it seems like more competitive than ever. But at the time it felt like, okay, the only option is to start a night. And yeah, the literal reason to do it was to give myself a chance to get experience playing behind the decks, just to my friends, no bookings, things like that. And it was literally just to give myself that chance, like you said, just to get booked.
Wow. Yeah. It's such a smart. I've seen some artists literally DJ their own birthday parties and they make content out of it. And it's a starting point.
I mean, for sure, like before I did You and Me, I used to set decks up in my parents' house. I would take a generator to fields. We used to do like parties in fields when I was, I think maybe like 16, 17. I remember the day we went on Facebook Marketplace. We Googled generator. We bought a generator for £20. We took it to like a field, filled it with petrol, put on like a Facebook group, invited people there. I think we did that like 3 times. And then alongside that, every single weekend, so 13 years ago now, I would take like a small boombox to house parties and like set them up there. And at the time, people were like, turn this shit off. You know, like 13 years ago, house music was nowhere near as big as it is now. Like people didn't listen to house music really. Like there wasn't as much like radio commercial kind of crossover like it is now. So most people there just wanted to hear like R&B and rap, etc. But yeah, that was like an early kind of thing of making shit happen for myself. And then it was like the natural progression then to kind of do it in an actual venue opposed to just doing it in houses, things like that.
Amazing. You just got to take the first step.
Yeah, I think you've got to have initiative to just make things happen because no one's going to ask you to begin with, okay, will you come DJ here? You've kind of just got to try and prove your worth where you can.
Yeah. So did You and Me come first or did Hide and Seek Festival come
You
first?
and Me. So You and Me was born, this year is the 10-year anniversary of it, which is crazy. So a decade of doing parties. We just started in a Fallowfield basement. Fortunately, my business partners, Kurt, Dash and Dan, they were already doing student events. So they were already promoters, which was great for me. I was a DJ, they were promoters. Like on that note, anyone listening, if you're going to start a night, try and find people who aren't just DJs. Because if everyone's a fucking DJ, then it's going to be like clash of heads from the off.
Yeah.
So they were already promoters. They had the experience, the knowledge of how to set up a night. They had a contact at a place in Fallowfield, which is like a really grungy student area in Manchester. I think it was 200 capacity, and we sold it out straight away. So it was like £3 to get in or something like that.
Wow.
We sold it out, done. Did it again, sold it out. And then we made the rookie error of trying to book talent, you know, because like, that's what you think you do. You know, you book big names, then everyone comes, then... Not to go too far into that, but like we started trying to book names pretty quickly and yeah, it didn't go so well. So we should have stuck to the slow and steady growth, which I would advise anyone. Try and, you know, just go from 100 to 150 to 200 to 250, like incremental increases in capacity. And we didn't. We tried to go like 2 events, then go for it. But yeah, You and Me first, and it's the same team who did You and Me, did Hide and Seek.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think it's such an overwhelming thing. People think they have to have everything perfect from the jump to be able to throw an event, but you have to learn. You have to build on those increments. Another thing that interests me, because I was just in Brooklyn last weekend, or the weekend before, with Kai William. He hosts something called a Developed Workshop. It's like an artist education workshop as an extension of his label. I am very curious how you and other artists who do this, how do you balance building your own brand as Josh Baker, the artist, versus all these other things you have a hand in? And does sometimes one thing steal your attention? And how do you manage all that?
I think if I look back, like over a kind of a time period, You and Me at the start was definitely kind of growing at a quicker rate than I was. And that was kind of allowing me to, it was like You and Me, over a couple of years, we'd start to book bigger names. The bigger names would kind of build You and Me up, and then I could almost like coattail off the back of that. So I'd warm up for these artists, get to know the artists. People would come for the artists and see me. So it was like, if we tried to focus on growing You and Me, then I was catching up with it. But then there was a point in time, probably after COVID, where I started to get a bit more traction, you know, releases, more followers. And then now it's kind of clear that I'm much bigger than You and Me, and it brings You and Me up with it. But it's hard with that kind of thing. They both complement each other. The bigger I've got, the bigger that's got. But then the early days, the bigger that got, it gave me a platform. Same with Hide and Seek. Like Hide and Seek to begin with, Hide and Seek's still kind of bigger than me. Hard to kind of compare the two. But Hide and Seek to begin with was a much bigger product than I was. And then each year I've got bigger. I've kind of helped that grow as well. And this year will be the first time I close the festival. So it's like, you know, after 6 years, now I'm arguably one of the biggest acts on there, and I'll close it. So it's kind of hard to say how you divide your time because it's an ecosystem. That's the beauty of it, I think, that the bigger I get as an artist, the more it helps all the other brands. The main thing I would say is when I spent more time on Syntho, which we can talk about in more detail, that's my education platform. When I spent more time on that, because there's a lot of moving parts, like behind the scenes, you know, like hiring people, managing people,
Right.
content plans, tech plans, they don't help Josh Baker get bigger as an artist. So when I spent more time on that, probably a couple of years ago, my artist career wasn't growing as quickly as it is now. And it's quite clear to see when I started making more music again, at the start of last year, this started to go much quicker. So the Syntho thing behind the scenes doesn't really contribute towards like me getting bigger. However, me getting bigger does actually make Syntho get bigger, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where we're at now. Like my role now in the business, Syntho, is to be kind of like creative director, face of it. I've now got a full team working for me, and it allows me to just do this music thing, because the more followers, more fans I can gain will then feed into Syntho, which is the best way to do it. So it's kind of quite complicated. There's quite a few moving parts.
Yeah, well, and also gaining brand equity is not, and leverage with your brand is not necessarily the same thing as making a bunch of money. One is a longer term strategy, a long game.
Long game for sure. I think the whole thing, everything we've done within our team, we've always been really, really patient on, like, I think they're saying something like the longer the wait, the bigger the ask. You know, if you just wait. If the minute you start getting any success, you're trying to charge loads for tickets, trying to get people to sign up to this, sign up to that. It's not authentic and then unlikely to do it. Whereas if you can build trust over time, you know, making YouTube videos, doing podcasts, and then you decide to sell something, there's much more trust and people are willing to pay for whatever you're offering then.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think there's a lot of, you know, it's like a scarcity mindset of like, oh my God, I need to make money now. And like you said, the building trust thing is so huge. People are more likely to buy from someone who they've familiarized themselves with, and you've, you know, given them things like cheap access. I don't want to say cheap, but you know what I mean? Low ticket price access to certain things.
Yeah. And I think with like, when they're trying to sell anything, I think there's some percentages like try and give away like 90% of it for free. You know, like Syntho, we give away free YouTube videos. We give away tips every single day. And then that 10%, if people like the 90%, often they'll be willing to part with that final bit of cash for that extra 10%.
Yeah. That's something I'm learning with my Patreon audience. And it took time to build that. I had to keep giving more and more for free in order to get the Patreon
You just need to find that balance, right? I think people are always scared. We're working on this new thing actually with Syntho at the moment with a different platform. And this is the conversation we had this morning. It's like, how much should we give for free? But I think a lot of the time you can actually give more than you expect and people will see the value in it and then be willing to give you the money. Like even on Bandcamp, for example, I've noticed on Bandcamp, sometimes people do it so you don't have to pay them at all. And like, if it's a really good track, I'm like, you can have €3 or whatever for €4. Whereas if it was like, if they were just charging €1 from the off, I'd have said like no. So I think you should always be willing to try and give away that extra bit to try and get that sale or whatever it is you should do.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also about figuring out what should be behind the paywall. I think a lot of people struggle with that too, and they want to keep too many things close to chest. But what I've learned, you know, I'm in artist education on the branding and business side. It's like, you can only do so many things yourself. Eventually you're going to need help from somebody if you want to scale to the next level.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember with Syntho, the first hire I did was such a big moment because when I started Syntho, it was similar to Patreon and a website similar to that. And I recorded these videos and it was pretty mind blowing how it happened because it was, our timing was important. It was when COVID started. So everyone was stuck inside. No one could do anything. I started doing one-on-one lessons online and I was telling everyone the same thing. So I was like, okay, there must be a better way to do this. But this was very much before everyone was making videos, everyone was talking to the camera. And I remember saying to myself, I wish I could do that, like talk to a camera. And I spoke about this before, I think, on podcasts, like on my own back in the day. But I remember I had this moment where I was like, why don't you just do the video? But like, I'd never spoke to the camera in my life. And yeah, launched this thing, went really good. And it was like after about a year or so, it was like the video editing and posting. And I was kind of like, I was going down a rabbit hole myself, which I'm sure you've been on, of just like biographies, podcasts, leverage. I think the key word was leverage. When I heard the word leverage, I understood that properly. With leverage through labor, like you can pay someone else to do something while you while you do something else. It was like a penny really dropped. So I was like, wait a sec, I can pay them the time I'm using to edit the video or whatever. Yeah. Then whilst they're editing the video, I can use that time to make a new video. And it was like an epiphany. But funnily enough, when I first hired someone, I wasn't like, I kind of hired them and then chilled out more. I was like, that's not how leverage works. Leverage works by paying someone to do something, then you do something higher leverage, which like is, I think you've got to kind of figure that out to begin with. But yeah, for me, it was like, I hired someone full time and she could help me do like the editing. Then we could start to get into more ideas, things like that. And across my businesses, bringing like a good team has been what's allowed me to do like a lot of things.
I was going to ask that. How soon did you, let's take hide and seek, for example, because that's, I would say, probably one of the bigger beasts, right? Is that festival. How soon did you start outsourcing?
You actually really laugh at this. Out of all the businesses, that's probably got the least external input.
Really?
Yeah, so Kurt, my manager, business partner, best friend, he's been there with me since the start. He's the main guy at hide and seek. He is like the best of the best at when it comes to promoting, attention to detail, management, like he's the guy. I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, like he wanted to be in control of all of it. And like, this is a problem in business. Like if you're not willing to let go of some of the small stuff, it's hard to grow, but like it hasn't really been a problem for us. But out of all the things, I mean, you and me, we're pretty lean still, but hide and seek, we have got just one girl that works on payroll. One girl, full time.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, it's over a year. We have contractors towards the events. You have people that help out with like the site managers, things like that.
Right.
I don't want to put words in Kurt's mouth because he'll be able to like identify like who we bring on board. So on the day, we've got people helping out with the bar, things like that. But to deliver the festival, it's like a super lean operation.
Wow.
But like he's been doing this like 10 billion hours. Like he's run student events for maybe 15 years. Like you and me. So like to run a festival, anyone watching this who wants to do a festival, it's unlikely someone with no experience could do it on their own. You'd have to get consultants, probably like bookers, managers, everything to help you out. But because he's got such unique skill set and done it so long, that's actually quite a lean. You at Syntho is the one with a lot of heavy baggage, which people might not realize.
Yeah, well, because you're producing content, there's a whole tech stack there, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll openly say we've got 2 video editors. We've got 3 in-house shooters. So they're both, all of them are part-time. They're not kind of full-time. We've got like a marketing manager, social media manager, head of content. We've got a CTO. We've got a CEO and a head of marketing. So like that's 8 plus a whole dev agency. I think we've got like 8 developers. Am I missing anyone out? So that is a big, like that is, so I hired a CEO like 2 months ago. No, more than that. Probably in January now. And it's going great. But that business is hard work. But the whole plan is to keep scaling it, maybe exit one day, who knows. But if you watch this, guys, and you think about tech, don't do it. Tech is a headache because like you can't just make changes in an app or whatever like that. Like Patreon's super easy to upload videos, do this. The reason I built the app was to hopefully, own the code, own the content, own the users, so it's not rented off somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with renting off like Patreon. It's actually really profitable and much better in a sense. I tried to go big. Well, I say try to go big. It's going really good, but it's hard work. Like, it's a lot of money at stake, calls most days. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. But yeah, that's it. We've got a lot of people involved in Syntho.
How do you, I mean, you just told me that you got in yesterday and you're leaving straight from the club tonight. How do you do this?
I'll be honest, right? I think this moment right now is potentially the tiredest I've been. So I try not to say I'm tired on my YouTube video, so any like watchers are probably laughing right now. I always say it because I'm always knackered, but I mean, you can imagine I'm like always fucking tired. So what did I do? Last 3 weeks was actually the first time probably in 10 years that I've kind of slowed down. So I've been in Ibiza for 3 weeks and I went back to play one show in Leeds. Funnily enough, like I'm more tired now after 3 weeks of not much traveling. I think I actually get energized from like constantly doing things, which is it good or bad? I don't know if it's like a bit toxic potentially, always need that next rush. But like, it's kind of like what I enjoy.
Well, they say, I don't know I think it's like a law of physics, a body in motion stays in motion, right? Yeah. And so when you stop, I think it's like, like I tried to chill out the last few weeks. So I didn't make any music, which that did not feel good. I still train like no matter what, like if I'm on my deathbed, I'll still train. But I played 3 shows, but 2 were in Ibiza, so we didn't have to fly to them. So like I had some downtime, but like now I feel more tired than ever, having this kind of like gap. So I don't know, I think you just make it work, and I think also because I've done this for quite a long time now, you build up the stamina for the workload. And also my team's great for everything. So like Kurt's a manager, he'll make sure everything now is like, he's really protective of my time. So he knows if someone asks him something, he'll really try and, if he can solve the problem, he'll try and solve it, for example. So he cracked the whip with me for sure. He's like, Josh only has this time. I hope you, I said,
but it works,
absolutely.
Right? I think like a lesson in life as well is that if you give people too many options, then they'll just kind of go back and forth. If you just say to them, we can do it this time, this day, yes or no, and like it can work. But yeah, Kurt helps me a lot with my kind of anything that's business related, music side, he'll do. CEO Hazel will take any meetings, any calls now, Syntho. So like my time technically doesn't have to go there. All videos are approved by someone in the content team. I reckon I've got way more time than people think now, but like there's definitely times when it is kind of intense if I've got studio sessions, but I'm getting better at it. But yeah, it's funny enough, right now, after 3 weeks of doing nothing, I'm tired.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. And to be successful in business, you have to have that discipline. And I like what you just said about kind of like the people who waffle back and forth. There's nothing I can't stand more than like, what's the word I'm looking for? Timidness and people who can't make decisions. I'm someone who I'll make a decision, and if it ends up being the wrong one, I'll fix it later. But I just need to like continue to move forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, everyone always says it, like, you just have to be willing to say no. I think if you say yes to everything, like it can kind of sound arrogant, maybe listen to this, like, oh, if someone says to me now, can you do, okay, for example, yesterday, someone asked, can you do a show in, where was it now? Someone asked if they could book me in a certain place, which I wouldn't do. And he said, can you tell your agent I've emailed them or whatever? And I just said straight up, like, mate, I'm not going to play a show there because I've already got plans. Whereas like the old me might have been like, oh yeah, one sec, I'll nudge him. And then it kind of just goes around the houses and it wastes everyone's time. So I think it's being a bit more cutthroat, but doing it in a polite and just like a nice way, you know? You don't have to be like rude to people, but I think if you don't want to do something, you can just be like, oh, right now I'm not doing this.
Yeah. That's definitely something that's difficult for people to do in any career field.
It's hard for sure.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like remix is a great one now. Like I have to do a remix a lot of the time. I just have to be kind of cutthroat with it. And even gigs, because there's gigs now I get offered. There has to be a point in which like you can't play 30 times a month.
Right.
And there's things that I'll get asked, like, do you want to go and do this? And there might be a week where I've got like, there's a week in August thing where I've got 4 shows. And it's like on a Sunday, someone's like, do you want to go and play this place for like X amount of money? And it's something I would have like 1,000% done. But knowing I've got 4 shows and then I want to go and do that, you've got to think about longevity, like your health as well. And like saying no to things like that as well. Like it's kind of hard, but it's also important.
Yeah. All money is not made equal.
Exactly.
I learned that. I used to do more like content creator stuff before I just really niched down in music. And I started taking these brand deals that were good money. But I was like, why the fuck did I just do that? That exhausted me. It wasted my time. The brand wanted 500 revisions. It was a waste. And I foregoed that because I was like, I can't do that anymore. It's taking away from my, ultimate goal, which is, XYZ.
Yeah. There's a weekend I've got free in August and I got offered a really cool gig the other day. And I just thought like, right, when this comes around, what are you going to hope happens? Like you're sat in Ibiza chilling. Funnily enough, I never said I'm knacking in Ibiza, but I know after this, when this comes around this time, it's after like a lot of heavy gigs. And I just thought like, right, you're not going to want to do that. So like, don't fucking get sucked into the financial offer for it. Say no, set some boundaries. So that was an example of just 2 days ago where I had to say something, which I definitely would have said yes to normally. Like on paper, you think, why not? But I thought about the holistic kind of thing of like, maybe I can make music that week. Maybe I can take some days off or things like that.
Yeah. Looking at your schedule holistically is so important. You've been around a lot of artists, and I'm not framing this as like a dig at them, but why do you think a lot of artists just rely on, I'm going to gig 20 times a month and just have that be my career strategy? Why don't they do more things like Syntho Hub, putting together their own events?
Honestly, I think everyone can do their own thing. Like, I don't think there is a one right way to do it, one wrong way to do it. If everyone did what I was doing, it wouldn't work because everyone would be doing it. Like, and if everyone was playing 20 shows a month, there wouldn't be enough shows to go around potentially. I think it's really cool now in the scene that everyone's doing different things. Everyone's got a different way of like marketing themselves. Like you've got certain acts who are just like workhorses on this tour, and I'm like, wow, like they play 20 to 30 shows a month. Like I couldn't do that. Well, maybe I could, but like I wouldn't feel fulfilled because I couldn't train. I'd be freaking tired all the time. I couldn't do anything else. I don't know. I think it's obviously a smart thing to diversify what you're doing if you're like thinking more about long term, if you don't want to tour forever. But at the same time, I think there's a beauty of just living in the moment. Like most people's dream, including myself, was to be a DJ and artist. I think it's easy in the modern day right now to get so distracted, so kind of influenced to do other things. Like you might be like, okay, look, he's doing Syntho, he's doing this, why don't you do that? I think some people should just make music and gig. Like that's what they wanted to do. That's kind of what they feel more comfortable doing. And I do think I do feel bad for some artists who like hate doing social media because it is now so important to do it. Like, and I get how annoying that must be. Like, I kind of enjoy it because I've said this before. I see it as a video game. like I just like look at the numbers in like a kind of fun way. I don't kind of get disheartened by it. I just kind of look at it as like a fun thing of if something got a certain amount of likes, you know, that's pretty cool. Like that must resonate with people. So gamifying it is a way which, like, for me, just makes it kind of fun to do. But yeah, I don't think people should do, or at least what I'm doing or what other artists do. I think everyone's got their own thing they should just focus on. But at the same time, there's no denying how important social media is. Like, if you're watching this and you're not already getting momentum as an artist, you'd be hedging yourself. Like, you'd be stupid not to use social media.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're already getting gigs, things like that, and you're happy with what you're doing, you could be all right. But yeah, I don't think there is a right or wrong way to do it. And like what's happening now, maybe in a few years' time, maybe something different. Like, to give an example, I've noticed now, like my own social media, photos are doing really good again. Whereas for a bit, it was like HD videos everywhere. I spoke to multiple artists on this, and certain people have like, I spoke to Clooney about this over lunch, and he was saying that like he notices like phone vids do way better for him than HD videos. And I've noticed a similar thing on TikTok for sure.
Oh yeah, TikTok, like the lower quality, the
just
better.
Slaps way better. Yeah, and I think it's just the thing of like what's happening now in a year's time probably be different. So yeah, I couldn't really say to answer your question that like I think all artists should do what I'm doing. I think it's just finding your own way in this jungle.
Right, and what feels authentic to you.
Yeah.
That word's so overused, but it is the truth. Yeah, and social media, I mean, this is an argument that that other people have in my comments daily, right? Of like how it's ruined the art of DJing and whatever. And, you know, for me, I see it as you've never had an easier way to get your art out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think how I view social media is you always have to get your music heard in some way. So someone in the comments may correct me if I'm wrong. If you were an artist in the 1990s, to get your music heard, you had to go and do something. You had to go and meet people, give them the record. I would suspect someone who's scared to put a video on social media was the same person scared to go and meet someone in a record shop. Like, just my guess. I don't know what the full protocol was to send demos out. Of course, you could have posted them, but like, you could technically email your demos now, but like, they get lost in the sea of everything else. Like, I think there's always been a way in which you had to kind of go by to get your music heard. Now it's definitely easier than ever because of social media. But I guess on the flip side, it's hard because everyone's doing it. But I don't think it was ever a case of like this thing didn't exist. It was never easy. I think the problem has changed. Another thing is like people used to have to rely on billboards, radio. Like they were two massive things. Like,
expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
you had to spend a lot of money to get, you know, whether it's promote music videos, whatever it was. I like what you just said. No one's ever said that before. The same on the show. The same people who were too afraid or who are too afraid to put out their music now on social will probably be too afraid back then
to take the record into a shop and cold approach someone. Like,
yeah,
I think, like for me personally, I'd probably rather just put a video on social media. But like,
yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, I would go into a shop. That was what I had to do. But I wouldn't have felt any. Yeah. Example now is I remember when I put my first video up on social media, I was probably as anxious as that as I would have been to go into a record shop and give some test presses to a random guy and just like be like, "Here's my music, bro."
It's cringy. It's cringy.
Yeah.
I think about that. Like, there's so many artists now that I've talked to virtually and we stay in touch or whatever, but I've never met in person. And even going to meet them at the shows after is like fucking, I'm like, I don't know. I don't actually know you. So it's a weird industry. You're constantly putting yourself out there. And so it just kind of like democratizes it and I think makes it less awkward because you're just sending it out in the ether versus the one-to-one.
It's a tough one. I mean, it's not going to go away. So anyone complaining about it, I'm like, what is the point?
Yeah.
You know, I think the rules of the game just change. This isn't the only industry it changed. Like, I don't know the dynamics of modeling, for example, but I'm sure how to become a model has now changed. How to become like a chef has probably now changed. I think like, I don't know the kind of ins and outs of it all, but industries just change over time. Music's obviously changed massively over time. I don't think there's any point really kind of moaning about it. I understand Bill's frustration. Like, let's be real. Like, music should do the talking, but there's just more to it than that. And it's a business at the end of the day. I see it from both sides. As a booker, as an artist, people need to sell tickets. I think it's one thing which I think people underestimate is how hard it is to build a profitable club night and festival or whatever like that. I think sometimes people just assume it's kind of all on the artist, whereas like you need the festivals, the club nights to provide the business. I think the ones that get stuffed the most are the clubs, you know, the venues themselves. I think that's really tricky, but I don't think anyone's got an easy ride. Like, no promoter, no club, no artist. It's tough for everyone. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really like super for it all or against it all. I would say like I feel comfortable using social media, clearly. But like, do I wish sometimes I just didn't have to use it? Like TikTok, when you wake up the next day and there's videos of yourself from every single angle. Do I enjoy that? No, but it's part of the game, you know?
Right.
And you, there's an upside from it as well, so.
Yeah. So you have a party series, a festival, you have an artist education hub. Is there any dream project that you would want to tackle?
There is actually physical products next, so.
Oh, what kind?
I think we'll go with clothing first, like Baker's Dozen. I've got another business idea on the go. So I've got Baker's Dozen, which started off as like an idea to some pop-up parties, which I've done in the laundrette, things like that. And then I got some merch made, which I should have worn today. Just some test runs of it. And it's ready to go. I've just been lazy, really. Like people are saying, release the vest, release the hoodies. I think I'll go for that. I think that would be quite a good one. And then just like something else, I'm not going to kind of say on live, but I think physical products will be the next challenge, but it's no joke, that stuff. Like I know, like from hearing about entrepreneurs' stories, things like that.
Shark Tank.
Yeah.
I watch Shark Tank every day, by the way.
Yeah.
I watch reruns and I'm like, what physical product could I create? Because then I sometimes don't feel like an entrepreneur because I don't have a physical product. Yeah.
I think for me, it'll be some kind of drink or food. Like,
ooh.
I think it could be anything, right? I think the beauty of building an online following is, I think I've got 140 something on Instagram now. If just 1% of them would buy, I'm not going to do a chocolate bar, just a chocolate bar, for example.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of building up an online audience through YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you can then technically sell anything to them, really. Like you've got a kind of starting point. I'm not sure what it'll be. I'm sure someone will clip this and start guessing in the comment section. But
we should. I'm gonna clip. I'm gonna clip it and tell people to
below,
guess.
Guys. I'm not too sure. Right now, I've not got the time. But, you know, over time, if I can like accumulate more money and save a bit, like I'll try something else for sure. Like tech's fun, partying's fun, DJ making music's fun, but having a physical product, you know, whether it's I don't know, it could be some equipment for a camera, I don't know, or I don't know, something. I mean, headphones probably not, because I think you'd need to have some kind of understanding in tech. I don't think it'd be digital. I think it would be something more drink, food, that kind
tangible,
of thing.
Something
You could eat or drink. I think that's what it would be.
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
We'll see.
We'll refer back to this in a few years. This has been amazing. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
That's your weekly elevation. What strikes me most about Josh's approach is his understanding that success in music isn't just about the music anymore. It's about building an ecosystem that supports your artistry while creating value for others. His journey from those early field parties to building Syntho reminds us that every successful venture starts with initiative and a willingness to solve problems others are ignoring. Whether it's throwing your own events, creating educational content, or building the platform you wish existed, the opportunities are there for those willing to take action. Remember, success in dance music isn't about luck, it's about strategy. I'll talk to you next week.